not on them.
Hey, it's showtime, brother.
What are we doing? I'm
We're
new here. I've been on vacation. I'm all sunburned and can't push buttons.
We were catching up, guys. Hey, but welcome back to Sergeants Talk TV. I'm Big Mike.
Normal size Jason.
And he's back, guys.
I'm back, guys.
Yeah, he strolling around the Caribbean. A week's not long enough.
It wasn't with all that white, cold ice and snow. And we looked at the weather and we looked at each other and went, I know all of our friends are leaving the ship on Sunday, but we're not. So
the first ship you got on, was that the real big one?
No, so we stayed on the same ship for the 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We actually, we just went to 3 different ports two different ports on the second week. So yeah, when everybody else, because we did the whole family cruise, for the first week, and then we were actually at Mr. Sancho's. We were in Cozumel, Mexico. Had free Wi-Fi at that resort we were at, and we looked at the cameras here at home, and I seen there was still a bunch of snow and ice in the driveway, and we said, nope, we're not getting off. Called our travel agent and said, hey, can you get us on the one that's back to back? And she's like, yeah, you're gonna have to change rooms, which we went probably 10 rooms down the hallway. That's all we had to move. And so everybody else got off. Like, we met them that morning, said our goodbyes, told them, hey, be safe getting home. Of course, they all looked at us like, you SOBs, we wish we could do you, but we have adult responsibilities to get back to. And yeah, so we stayed on the same ship. We actually never even got off, and then went to 2 different ports. The last port was still Cozumel in Mexico coming back. But yeah, was much calmer seas the second week. We just kind of chilled, relaxed, laid by the pool, got sunburned, did what we were supposed to do while we were gone.
Yeah. So are all the ships out of New Orleans smaller?
They're still big ships, don't get me wrong, right? But they're smaller than the first 2 ships we went on. So the first ship we went on was the Venetia, which is one of their newer ships. And then we went on their newest ship out of Galveston, which is I forget the name of that one every time. Babe, what's the ship we went out of Galveston? Jubilee. There you go. And so the Jubilee and the Venetia are part of their biggest class of ships that they have right now. And so when you've been on those, and they're like, I mean, any one of them really are floating cities, but when you're on one that has 18 to 20 levels on it, and you're like, thank God for elevators.
Yeah.
To go to a smaller one, which there were points of it that were really nice with a smaller ship. Things didn't seem to be as crowded. You didn't wait as long, but it also had like less amenities. And this one was a little bit of an older ship. So we still enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, it was snow, ice, and nastiness here in Arkansas, and pretty much covering most of the U.S. And we went down to the Caribbean, and we got sunburns and drank too many cocktails, and did what responsible adults are supposed to do.
Yeah. You weren't driving
the ship.
You were floating.
Right. I was like, hey, beer for breakfast. Why not? I mean,
that's right. Hey, so we want to welcome everybody in. Tonight's going to be about story time. We're going to be talking about whatever comes across our minds, whatever we can remember. And we did post the link at the top. So please join us up here. Tell us about your military experience. It doesn't have to be in the military. You could work for the VA. You could work for the Department of Defense. You could have kids in the military. We don't care. Come on up here and talk to us, even if it's to say hello. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. I started thinking about it. And there's some stories I can tell, and then there's some stories I can't tell. and there's some stories I shouldn't tell. Okay, so it's divided up in 3 different categories for me. So if I get into too much gory detail or too much, brother, stop me. Say, hey, we're gonna get blacklisted again.
I'll try to keep us from getting shut down again. We won't give all the gory details of what we can say in person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. We want everybody's stories.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to start off before we say hello to everybody on here. Was one of those that part of the thing of us going on the cruises, right? You know, a lot of people that follow our channel with the homestead, they love the fact that we're taking that break. We're going out there. I think the only ones that get a little bit butthurt about it are like our children, because they're like, wait a minute, you didn't take us on cruises when we were kids. No, we couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But now you're grown adults and there's only 2 of us. We can go
now. We don't want you on it.
Right. So, but one of the best things that we do, and we make sure that we participate in for every event, that Carnival Cruise is a big supporter of the military.
Yeah.
And they do a veterans appreciation like ceremony deal.
Yeah.
During every cruise, they bring you into their theater, their auditorium, whatever they have on that cruise ship, and recognize every service, every branch. Believe it or not, so got to witness with my own eyes somebody that was actually in the Space Force for the first time in my life. During our first week of the cruise, because they recognize all the branches, and there was a female, I don't know, what do they call them? Female Space Force person? Space cadet? I don't, like, you know, you got soldiers, you got Marines, you got airmen, you got sailors. Like, are they spaceys?
I thought Space Command belonged to the Air Force, though, but it was like
kind
of like the Marines of the Navy.
Yeah,
they have that kind of relationship.
You're giving them a lot of credit if you're going to compare them like that. But yeah,
they're working on the laser gun, so
they're getting at the lasers. But no, so that's always a super cool function to go to, and see everybody that's in there. You know, of course, you always see them, right? There's always the vets that are wearing the hats. And I would tell you, it was amazing to see the amount of people that would walk up to all the vets that were wearing a hat in one way, shape, or form. So many people would walk up to them and just, hey, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Yeah. You've seen it everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was heartwarming, really, you know, and it's lovely to see that patriotism continuing on. But I will give kudos to Carnival for putting that on every cruise that they do.
Yeah.
And then allowing you to sit around and of course you go around different parts of the ship, and whether you recognize them because they were at the veterans thing or they have a veterans hat on, or, you know, for me, most people, because I walk in, I got a shaved head and a beard, and they're like, you served, didn't you? Yep, I sure did.
Yep.
So you strike up a conversation and you find out that you're on a ship full of vets.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool to have those different interactions and talking to people and seeing that kind of stuff. So, you know, stories like that is stuff that we can bring up at this time too, guys. Is, you know, we do these open mics. It's for everybody to get on and just,
yeah,
you're in the smoke shack. We're out here BSing, having some drinks, and listening to those stories that you might not be able to tell to your spouse or to the people that you live with or whatever, because they didn't serve and won't understand, and you don't want to explain all the acronyms. This is the time to let yourself shine.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. Hey, let's say hello to Tamara. She thought Anthony was coming back up. I told her he's not going to be up this time. There's Ray Castile.
I figured it was going to be an easy swap with Anthony because everyone says we're brothers and we're twins anyway. So I figured no one would even notice a difference. They would just be like, oh, it's the same show. We're good. But thank you all for supporting Anthony and allowing him to fill in my spot. I appreciate him for doing that. Brother, you're amazing. And we can't wait to have him back on again.
Now, I will tell you, Debbie Drock reached out to me after last week's live to get the information about the company that helped me. I did get to 100% permanent and totally disabled, thanks to the help of VetCom. I did reach out to VetCom. I drilled them. I asked a bunch of questions. I looked into the company. What really attracted me was the 98.7% success rate to 100% that they have for that company. It is a company that doesn't take a percentage of your back pay. It's just a flat rate. And you pay that, and they stick with you through your appeals process, first appeal, second appeal, getting you in touch with clinical people to write up nexus letters. They have an academy that you can sit there at your own leisure to watch the owner of the company, who is a vet, and to listen to how you should conduct yourself in your CMP exams. They do all this stuff for you. They assign a counselor to you. They do Zoom calls, which is on your computer face-to-face. They're with you when you put your claim in online. They study you, and they really, their customer service is second to none. And they were always in touch. If I sent an email to ask a question, boom, it was answered real quick. And I told everybody that I'm not going to endorse anything until after the fact and I get all the information. And I can tell you with confidence that this is a legit company. This is a company that stands behind its mission. This is a company that has great customer service. And I just want to thank them for their part in helping me. Because, guys, I've been at this for 25 years. Okay. I went to the VA and the disabled back in the day where you got your military retirement. And then if they said, like they said, you're 60%. They took 60% of my retirement pay and moved it over to the VA. Okay. And then in 2000, I want to say 2008 or 9 or something like that, Congress, some wise person in Congress said, hey, why are we treating the military different than we're treating the government employees, the civilian employees? They're all government employees. Why are we treating them different? Because a civilian working for the government, if they have disability because of whatever job they were working, they get a disability check and they get a retirement check, and one doesn't touch the other. And they said, why aren't we doing this for the military? So Congress passed it. All right. Concurrent. All right. You get concurrent pay. But what they did was, if you were 100% when they passed it, you got your disability and you got your full retirement if you were 100% disabled. All right. Everybody else, then they started with the 90 and they went down. It took them 8.5 years to get to the 60% people. And so I was still getting the same thing, but every year I would get a little bit more and a little bit more. You lose a lot of money doing that. And then finally they got to us, and you got your retirement and you got your disability. So I've been working this for 25 years. And we submitted, I didn't know where to go. I couldn't think of anything else I could apply for or anything like that. And I was stuck at 90. And so I seen their commercial. Actually, I seen her, the owner of the company, the CEO, being interviewed on a channel called Veterans Info Tab. It's a YouTube channel, and he used to be a VSO, so he's in the know. And so they were interviewing her, and I'm going, man, I got to get a hold of her. So I called them and I talked to them, and of course I had a million questions and stuff like that. And come down, I got a hold of them in October. I filed my claims, all 9 of them, that I didn't even know, hey, secondary and this and that and presumptive and all this stuff. And we filed everything in November. 6th February, everything got approved.
Which that's quick. I mean, even when I went through the company I went through I was right at about the 7-8 month mark before everything went through. It took 6 months to even get my first doctor's appointment. Like I submitted all the paperwork, and then it was a 6-month wait before I even seen any of the CMP exams. So
so if you're having problems, or you're having problems navigating the VA system, I would, and I will always 100% vouch for VetCom as a service that is there for the right reasons. Okay. And, if they have to go through lawyers or 3 separate appeals process and stuff like that, and like he said, if we lose money, then, hey, we're not going to price gouge people. And you're looking at, they helped 28,000 people in 2025. Wow. 28,000 people. And it's just, and like the one guy told me, he said that less than 2%, like 1.3% that they don't get through are usually those people that were in like basic training and they got kicked out for whatever, blah, 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 and stuff like that. They can't get them to 100. There'd be no way they could do it. And they're upfront about it. So I did send the information to Debbie Drock to help one of her relatives. And
as always, it's always a case-by-case basis, guys.
Yeah.
So like everybody's situation is different, and you never know until you try. Right. You go in and that was something that even being on these ships, like I talked a lot. I wore my Sergeant's Talk. I don't have the new fancy one yet. I haven't ordered that one in. But I repped Sergeant's Talk. I took koozies. Hold on. Let's see here. Yeah. There we go. We got him a good view of it. But yeah, you talk to a lot of these veterans and I ran into a lot on the ship, and it was, get in and get your benefits. And they're like, a lot of them run into it. It's a pride issue. Well, I only did 4 years and I don't feel that there was anything wrong with me. And it doesn't matter. Like I know guys that barely made it through boot camp or went through, made it through their schooling, but then got hurt, never actually went to a fleet, didn't finish 4 years, didn't even finish 2 years. And they're getting something, and something is always better than nothing.
Yeah.
And even if it's just treatment for that condition that was caused, that if you weren't in the military, you would have never got that,
Yeah.
It's always something, and always a reason. And every one of them that I ran into and we had conversations with on the ship. And there was actually a couple different people that I did talk to about VetCom. I'm like, hey, check them out. That was before I even got word that, you got your award, finalized, but it was like, I just from what you've said about the company, I wish I would have known about them when I went to go for mine.
Yeah.
I don't regret doing it the way that I did it. It was fine. It was another Marine brother that I went through. Love to support him. But the process through VetCom is much quicker, much more efficient.
Yeah.
definitely a little bit better on your pocket.
Yeah,
so.
they got something like 233 counselors, and they're spread all over the United States. My guy's in North Carolina, Jason Curtis, and I'm going to tell you something, guys. He took the time to explain every step, everything. He's the one that made, hey, I think that you need to leave this out of your written statements, and maybe you need to look at it this. They didn't tell you what to do, but they guide you through all that stuff.
And there's so many times that there's stuff that you don't think, hey, I don't need to throw that in there. Yeah. But they're the professionals that are paid to do this. And they know what's going to work and what doesn't work. And to know, hey, you may not think that that's something you need to throw in on your statement, or that's not something you need to talk to the doctor about. But in reality, it is. Like, you need to talk to them about everything and get it on there. So, all right. Well, I guess we can, we're 20 minutes in. We can finish.
There's Judy Herman. Hey, Judy, your coffee cup that you won on Empty Homestead was shipped to you. So you should be seeing it here pretty soon. Hey, Ricky Smith. Howdy.
There he is. And there's Sup, Chris. Over there, Mr. Leonard Mountain Homestead.
There's Troy Sutton. Hello, Troy.
And there's Byron, Brenda, and Cullen, always hanging out with us.
Hey, Cullen,
buddy. Love
Angie. My favorite VA nurse is in here, guys.
She's one I hope I don't have to go see, though.
Yep.
Like, hoping I don't have to see her. I mean, I'd love her to be in my VA clinic, but not for the reasons where she's nursing.
Hello, Susan. I would say your last name, but I can't say it.
Right. There's Ralph Webb's Web. Always good to see you, Ralph.
There's Charm. Hello, Charm. Good to see you. Hey, that means Merns shouted us out and sent out our channel for our live tonight.
Awesome. Appreciate her every day. Hoorah, Eddie. Always good to see Eddie coming in. Can't wait to hang out with him again. That was awesome when we did our cruise before. Got to meet Eddie in person down there in Texas. So
there's our favorite MP, Denise McDonald, is in the house. Oh, let's see.
And there's Tony coming in.
Coming in hot, Tony.
Coming in hot. I was scrolling because Tony was like, "Oh crap, Angie's in here." Like they were probably
there's Santa. Hello. There's Abby G. Hello, Abby. And I think I'm at the bottom. All right. So if you're a veteran, please put in the chat. Put veteran and what branch you were in. If you're a parent of a veteran, tell us the same thing. What branch of service, son, daughter, grandson, whatever it is, and tell us what branch they served in. I would appreciate that if you would do that for us. Hey, so I started thinking about this, and I came up with a story on the biggest screw up I did in basic training. And it wasn't in the basic training part. It was in the AIT, Advanced Individual Training. It's what you do to learn your MOS. And actually I have two stories, but I may have told the one story, another one before. But we had a weekend pass. But the weekend pass, you had to be back in the barracks at 10 o'clock. No ifs, ands, or buts. And because you had a GI party every night. And so a guy that I met in basic training was from Birmingham, Alabama. And Fort McClellan's right down Highway 20 from Birmingham. And so he said, hey, Mike, you want to go to Birmingham with me? And I said, well, where's Birmingham? I didn't know. I'm from Arizona. I don't know where Birmingham is. He goes, Kiss is in concert. And my brother has 2 extra tickets. And I go, oh, man. Because I had seen Kiss when I was like a senior in high school in 79 or whatever at Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix. And I said, man, dude, they put on a kick-ass concert. Well, back then, when you went on pass, you had to be in dress uniform all the time. So I said, well, how are we going to get there? He's going to come pick us up. We just got to meet him at the front gate at the bus stop. And I said, cool. So he came and picked us up, and we went to the concert. The concert started at 7, and the concert was supposed to be over, all right, by 9 o'clock. That gave us an hour to get the heck back. And it's about 35, 40-minute drive, okay, if you break the speed limit. So I go, okay. He goes, no, we'll be back in time. I said, all right, cool. I didn't know the distance back then. So there we go. Dude, his brother got so shit-faced, right? And we had a little bit to drink too, and we're in our dress, and after the concert was over, I'm missing my name tag. I'm missing somebody out there took the disc that had the MP emblem on it, but back then we just had 2 US's on them, and I was missing one of those. My marksmanship thing was gone. I had beer stains all over my dress screens. I looked a sight. So we get back because he gets lost. Okay. He gets lost. He goes, we can take a shortcut through Talladega. Well, we get lost. So we get to the gate. We park in the parking lot by the front gate. And we come walking in. We're thinking, hey, we just show our ID card. We can walk in. Well, they know when you're a recruit, okay? Especially at a basic training base. They know. They stop me and him. And I go, whoa, no. We start lying. We're permanent party. No, you're not. The MP said, no, you're not. And we sat there. Then all of a sudden the patrol car came up and took us to the MP station because we're breaking curfew. And we're sitting there, and he goes, man, don't tell him. Don't tell him. I said, dude, we got to tell him, right? And then all of a sudden, this major comes in. He goes, and you two are MPs, right? You two are MPs, and you want to be an MP, and you're going to sit there and lie to us? And this dude was screaming at us. I'm going to have you court-martialed, blah, 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 blah. Because remember, when you're in the military, you work for a democracy, you're not in one.
Right.
Remember that whole part. So I go, okay, screw it. Echo 10, 10th Military Police Battalion. Oh, great. So they call it up. Well, it just so happens that Drill Sergeant Martin, who is now a friend of mine on Facebook, Okay, my drill sergeant is my friend on Facebook. And in fact, I got to the higher rank than he did before he retired. And he comes and picks us up. And right away, I want to explain. He goes, shut your pie hole. Don't say nothing. And I will see you in the morning. This is at 1 o'clock in the morning. A little bit late. And this is where I found out that if you're AWOL, it doesn't matter if you're a minute AWOL or you're 3 hours AWOL. AWOL's AWOL. So I said, oh, man, I said, man, he was really nice to us. Maybe we'll get away with this. Get up in the morning for PT. Calls my name out, calls my buddy's name out. Report to the orderly room. So we go into the orderly room and we're standing there. The clerk's there and he goes, just stand by. The commander will see you in a minute. So that's where I got my first company grade Article 15 for AWOL. Right? Hadn't even got out of basic AIT yet. I get my first one. And they had, when I went in, I was a buck private. I had nothing. Well, when we started AIT, about 3 weeks into AIT, I got my mosquito wings, right? Took that shit right off my collar. I was only making $610 a month, right? I lost all pay and allowances, a half a month's pay for 3 months. So each month I'd only get like $305. That's before taxes. Okay.
Right.
That's before taxes. So I really didn't have nothing. Thank God for a meal card, right? So I didn't go nowhere. The rest of the time people, hey, come on out with. I said, dude, I am not leaving these barracks until I graduate and I get out of here. So I got my first Article 15, but I will tell you that was one kick-ass concert. Because that was the concert tour when they came out with the song Beth. Remember that song Beth?
I would know it if I hear it. I don't know it by name, but yeah.
Beth, I hear you calling. Yeah. Anyway, that was my first Article 15 in the military. Nowadays, you get an Article 15, you can just hang up your damn career. Right?
Yeah. But, well, you know, and I think that's always the greatest thing is talking to, you know, even guys like, I mean, you were like one series of generation before me when it comes into like being in the service, to where things that you could get away with then, like you said, it was almost a rite of passage, right? If you want to promote it, you better get an Article 15. You better have an NJB of some sort. You better been in trouble. Yeah. There wasn't not a one of them. And so when you sit there and you talk to the guys that were then, and then like I look at when I was in, and yeah, that would have been a career ender right there. Like you would have been done at the first contract, if they let you run that long, as long as you weren't a repeat offender. Like they were so quick to kick guys out for stuff like that. You know, during the time that I was in, and I think that's where the difference kind of lied. Was I almost think it needs to go back a little bit. Because when you looked at, I remember when I first got to Lejeune and someone had told me about what they call it, CCP or something, right? Corrective Custody Platoon. And so you weren't going to the brig. You weren't necessarily getting an NJP or anything but you went and served extra punishment. You might as well have been a prisoner. You had to go sleep in their barracks. They treated you like you were in boot camp again. Police called the whole base. There was times they made big rocks into small rocks. Like you were not doing anything fun for that amount of time that you got assigned to that platoon. And that was a battalion commander. it might even been a company commander level, but I think the
battalion. Oh, it's a battalion commander.
Yeah. They had that authority.
We call it in the Army retraining brigade.
Right. And they could send guys to it, and I seen guys go to it, and they came back and they were changed. Yeah. And it was like, okay, you did one F up, but it doesn't need to end your career.
Yeah.
But as my time progressed, no, one mistake and it ended you. You were done. Yeah. You were getting out. It didn't matter. And I'm like, because I seen so many guys that they might get 1 or 2, 3, whatever. You get a few Article 15s under your belt. And then actually, finally, they wisened up. And they were the best thing that you could have had around. And they were the ones that you wanted to lead Marines. You wanted them to be there and be part of the leadership because they knew it. Right? They're like, hey, I made the mistake. So when I'm telling you not to make these mistakes, but they became so instantly punitive about things that you were too scared to say stuff.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to a guy on this last cruise, and it was like, it's still weird for me to grab my phone and like I see something on Facebook and I'm like, ooh, I want to share this. But it's so ingrained in my brain that I'm like, I can't share that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, I can. I'm retired now, But they put it in your brain that you're not allowed to talk about, politics or religion or all the off subject stuff, right? You don't have your own opinion.
Yeah.
Or because if you put it out while you're on active duty, it can be interpreted as, as they put it to us, is they're like, your personal opinion, if you put it out there, now becomes the opinion of the Marine Corps. And if those two don't match up, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
Your opinion, might be right, but you're wrong if you're not matching with what Headquarters Marine Corps said. And, I even towards the end, when I was at the schoolhouse, they were tracking students' social media pages. And I knew that because I found out that they had ended up NJPing a bunch of kids because they put out stuff on TikTok and Twitter and Facebook, whatever. They did a bunch of stuff that they were misrepresenting the Marine Corps completely. I mean, very unprofessional. But they were doing these funny reels to get viral, blah, blah, blah. But it was not a professional conduct thing. And yeah, they got in major trouble for that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it gets so ingrained in your head. And then when you want to talk about it now, it'd be like, well, can I say this? Can I not say that? And I'm like, wait a minute, I can say whatever the heck I want now.
Right.
Like, I did it. I was there. We defended our right and freedoms to be able to say what we want. But you do, like you said earlier, you're fighting for and defending a democracy, but you're not part of one while you're in. You are not part of one at all while you're in. Like, build that stuff up and have your opinion when you get out and when you retire, but do not have that opinion while you're in. And I'd be kind of curious to know, what is that like now? We've got Hegseth in there. They're doing a lot of changes with the military. Are they going back a little bit more to that like 90s, 80s, 90s, even, obviously like the pre-2000s era military, which I think is what Hegseth was wanting. I mean, knowing that the guy's only a little bit older than I am.
Yeah.
So we grew up in that same era and had that same expectation when we got in. And then when we got in, we realized that, well, that's not what the previous generation just told me. My uncles and them told me it was totally different. Like,
I think that unlike before Trump got into office, the government, and I can say this working as a government civilian, there was on the part of leadership in the government, and I always believed in treating everybody with dignity and respect.
Right.
However, I do believe that people need to hear the truth. Okay. As a director, I always said, hey, if people don't hear the truth, they don't know what's wrong. However, And those last 4 years, the leadership in the civilian side I can speak on was very, very woke. Okay. And leadership changes depending on who the commander in chief is and who's running the government. Trump is all about tell people the truth. If you're a screw up, tell them they're a screw up. Well, in those 4 years, people were running to like equal opportunity, to the IG, to the commanders, and saying, oh, Mike hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Well, how did it hurt your feelings? He told me I was screwing up left and right. Well, did he say why? Yes, and it's not true. It's not true. Blah, 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 blah. And I just got so sick and tired of all the whining and crying, and you're not treating me fair. Like, how come, getting lawyers because somebody got promoted into a position over you. This is the reason why you didn't get selected for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I had people get lawyers because they interviewed for a job and they didn't get the job. I'm worth more than that. I asked people, I said, well, how much do you, and I said, well, the job pays this. Well, I need this. Well, why do you need this? Because I'm worth more than that. I said, okay. Well, what I read here is I would be paying you too much. But I gave you the interview because I said, hey, this person looks like they have potential, And I'm just like, people got really touchy over the last 4 years to the point where it was exhausting being a leader.
Yeah.
Okay. Exhausting. And the rule as a government civilian, if you get enough employees on the same wavelength to say the same lie, it's kind of like a democratic thing. If you hear it, leadership hears it enough, whatever you have to say as a leader is irrelevant. And they do that. It's called gang up on leadership. And you can get enough people to say, yep, that happened. Yep, that happened.
Well, and I think that's the point right there. Why Hegseth, when he came out and made that speech to all those generals, and his ultimate quote of "We're done with that shit," it came out because he meant it. He's like, leaders' hands have been tied for years, for the last couple decades at least, it goes beyond even the Biden administration. Like, it started before. Like, I remember, I can't pinpoint the exact year, but I know when I first come in, it wasn't as bad. But then as I transitioned throughout the Marine Corps and it did my 17 years, there was at some point around that midpoint that I could really see that transition.
Yeah.
Where it was like, all of a sudden you could be a leader and lead the way that you wanted to lead, and, put all their feelings, there's a mission. It's mission oriented. We're going to go to where all of a sudden it was transitioning to, the mission doesn't matter. It's what is the troop welfare? What are their feelings? And I'm like, I don't care about their feelings, and Denise had put it down there. The enemy doesn't give a shit about your feelings. Yeah. I don't give a shit about your feelings. You can have them. And that's why every unit has a chaplain. Go give your feelings to the chaplain. Yeah. Like, that's why he's there. Go talk to him. Like, we're here to do a job. We're here to, and I think that leadership being so micromanaged, but walking on nails. You were almost afraid to reprimand somebody because they're going to find a reason. And I'll be the one to say it, right? Race is the first one every single one of them look at. That's what they're going to look at first. If they can pull a race card, it doesn't matter what race it is. If they can pull a race card because they're a different race than the other person, right? They will try to pull it in every version.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how it comes.
Yeah.
And,
I've seen it. I've seen it.
I was in all male battalions, but I did work with, units that were co-ed, and then if it wasn't race, then they would try to put, well, now there's a sexual thing in it. And it's like, there's not, or, a gender. And it's like, it has nothing to do with that. You have a job, do the job. Like that's the end of the line. Like we all went to boot camp. We all did the same thing. We signed the same paperwork. There's no difference in any of us other than what we're willing to put out.
Right.
And I think with Hegseth coming out and saying, hey, we're going to start doing it back on merit. Like, you're going to earn it, not just because you were born a certain ethnicity or, you knew the right people, to get lawyers involved, which on the civilian side, I had offers to go work on the civilian as soon as I retired, doing the same job. But I would have been Army civilian at that point, teaching or doing curriculum on the Army side. And I talked to some of those guys, and I knew quite a bit of them there at Benning. And I was like, I'm not getting into it. Like, my problem that I noticed as I got promoted, it got more political. Not necessarily Democrat and Republican political, but it was who you knew, whose side you were on, like, who were you willing. And I was like, and honestly, and I've talked to several guys that I served with, and that was one of the biggest reasons I never made it past the rank of staff sergeant. I don't politic. Like, you'll never see my name on a billboard running for any kind of political thing whatsoever. And I won't politic with you. Like, if you're a good person to me, I'll be a good person to you. Sure. And vice versa. If they're a good person to me, I'm going to be a good person to them. Now, if you two are going to be shitty to one another, well, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem.
That's right.
I can do this, we can do this. And, but to come out and say, well, because you're friends with that person, we're not going to, that's high school. Like, that's not even high school, really. That's elementary level stuff, right? Yeah. Like, well, you're sitting at the wrong lunch table. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
And you deserve, like, us to remove the crosswalk signs so you do get hit by traffic. Like, I want you to do that.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't need to procreate, and we don't need people like you around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking with some guys. We had some pretty good conversations on the cruise about, man, if our bodies could hold up to it, if the military is going in the way that we're being led to believe, and I'd love, I need to reach out. I found out one of my cousins just went back active duty, and I need to call him up. He's been doing reserve for quite a few years. He's kind of bounced back and forth from active to reserve and active, and he just went back active duty. So I want to be, I'm curious. I want to know, like, what is it like? Like, he's Army, so it'll be a little bit different, but is what we're reading, what we're being told, what we're believing, right? Or what we're wanting to believe, because we're not in it anymore. So all we can do is take the articles and the stories and the everything else that we can find. But he's in it now. So I'd be really curious to know, is that environment really changing? Are they changing the things that they're saying?
Yeah.
And I hope they are. Because it'll make everybody better.
Yeah.
And getting rid of the feelings of things. I mean, I get it. Don't just berate somebody to berate them.
Yeah.
But
and you're not going to hear the truth until you get a hold of somebody that's gotten out of the military and will tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's too dangerous to tell the truth while you're in the military.
Well, and you've got to have, like, no matter what. And I think that to me, this is where the failure from being military to civilian sector fails, is you're not allowed to correct anybody on the civilian side. And that it was getting that way. It was that way for a while, even in the military, right before I retired, was you couldn't even correct your subordinates. You had to, like, look over your shoulder and be like, am I going to be doing something wrong type thing? Like, you need to have the ability, if you have people that work underneath you, you need to have the ability to correct them without a repercussion. Like, they put you in a leadership position. You're supposed to be able to do these things. And the caveat to that is those people that are I don't want to call them lessers, but lower on the totem pole, right? If you're not in management and you're just the worker bee on the line, you need to accept that criticism. And I think that's where the failure is, right? They can't accept the criticism. They don't understand the word no, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell them no. And they can't accept it, or I say they can't accept it, but they also, it's one of those, they don't even know how. So it's not more that they can't accept it. They've never been taught how to handle failure. And until you can get somebody to understand that failure is a good thing, it really is, because that's your best way to learn. How else are you going to learn?
Yeah.
If you just try to do the right, if you're taking the gravy train the whole way, and then all of a sudden, and I see it every day with some of the closest people that I'm friends with, that the minute that they hit a roadblock, all of a sudden, they're in reverse. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? Like, take an at a halt, take a breath, and then recharge it again.
Yeah.
Don't look at that failure as, oh, my life's over, I'm gonna, no, it's not. It means, hey, find a different way of doing it. Now, we always throw that definition of insanity, right?
Yeah.
Trying to do the same thing the same way every time, expecting a different result.
And I will tell you that the higher you go up in the military, you'd think it gets tighter and tighter between military people, but it is an absolute backstabber.
Oh,
they will.
The politicking is horrible.
They will throw you under the bus to get to where you want to be, or where they want to be, where you're at. And it was so freaking obvious. You think you can confide in somebody and they just use it against you. I think you got to remember something. I came in, back in 1979. Okay. And it was the whole Reagan, and it was, what's Billy Bob's name? Who? No, the guy from Georgia. Jimmy Carter. And then you got, it went on, and you got the Bushes, and then you've got Bill Clinton, and then you got Obama, and you get, and when you're in the military, you absolutely feel the operational shift of leadership.
Oh, yeah.
You feel it. Okay. I felt it. Okay. When Biden was in as a civilian. Okay. The memorandums, the orders that got pumped down. Okay. Was just, you're just going, what the heck? It was so freaking incredible that if you selected somebody for a job, part of the hiring process during the Biden time frame was you had to take every application you got. You had to, from those applications, you had to separate the people you wanted to interview. Then you had to separate it from the people that you hired, as in your first selection, second selection, and third selection. So you had to separate that. And this whole packet had to go to equal opportunity, where they scrutinized the crap out of it and separated it out and going, hey, why didn't you interview them? If you read their application, you can find out they weren't even close. I don't even know why they, because I separated them in what were you thinking applying for this job? Because you have no skills whatsoever, but you applied for it. Okay. Then you got to go people that were marginally, and then you got the people that were above margin, then totally qualified. And I only interviewed totally qualified people. And you don't know how many times I got my hand slapped. You can't do that. Whoa, what? Totally qualified people for a job? No, you can't do that. There's other factors you have to put in there. Say what? You know, and then they would break it down. And then they would send out letters to these people that says, not, you know, they don't tell them, well, you got to select. If you did not get selected and you feel that you were discriminated against in any way, here's the points of they actually gave it to them so they could lodge a complaint because they didn't get the job. That's how woke it got.
Yeah.
You know? And it was just, it became, there were sometimes I said, man, I wish I had a heart attack. Just get me out of this world because this is getting so freaking stupid. And that's your government, guys. That's the way the government was ran. I don't know what it is.
And that's the
now.
Yeah, that's the scary part when you know, early on, obviously I didn't care about how the government ran, right? My concern was, you know, hey, I had a job every day, and was I getting my check on the 1st and the 15th?
Yeah.
Like, that's what your concern is. But then as you get promoted, like you said, you get into the politicking of it. And you really start to see how things are running, and it gets concerning. And then you're like, okay, well, who the hell do I bring this up to? Especially when you become the target of it, because you're the one like, that's not how I'm running this show. That's not how I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to run this way, well, then, hey, get promoted and you can tell me how to run it. But until then, we're going to run it this way. But you look at it at our level, where in the military, it's so small, right? We're just in this little tiny little bubble. But that stuff extends all the way out into the main government, all the way up to the president. And when you start looking into some of those things and you put it in that perspective, it just blows your mind. You're like, how do they get anything done? And you know, that's really what caused, I know early on, you know, when I went on a rant about my hate of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Of, you know, like I hate these regulations that they put on everything. They make everything so damn difficult to do anything. And it's like, why do you have to make this so difficult? You know, and when you're sitting in an AO, you're out in you're in an area of operations, you're in combat, you're getting engaged, and your hands are tied. They literally tell you over the radio, just hunker down, find a thicker wall to hide behind. Like, you're not even allowed to engage back because they're like, well, we don't know if you told us before we came in here, and we wanted to clear this village or route or whatever it was, that you dropped leaflets, you did all the warnings, so anybody else that's left in there is considered hostile. But now you're telling us we're not even allowed to engage our hostiles.
Yeah.
You know, they got so crazy with the rules of engagement, to where it was unsafe for our own personnel. And all we could do was like crawl into our turtle shell and hunker down until somebody would finally say, okay, well, I guess you can go. You guys have received enough attacks. You can go do something with it. And it's like, you know, you're sitting in your air conditioning way back there, not out here in the 140 degrees and the sand and the dust and not getting supplied. Yet you're going to give me the information that I'm supposed to. Like, I don't get why I need your permission, whether I'm going to save not only my life, but the lives of everybody around me. Like, Can we protect ourselves? Like, we're here. They're clearly hostile. They're engaging us. But they're like, well, you know, did you see what time was on his wristwatch before you engaged him? I didn't really care. Sorry, like the Marine. And I laugh, you know, we talk about military stories. I laugh at the time we did the invasion in Iraq in 2003, right? Now you bring Marines in, shit's hitting the fan.
Right.
We don't ask questions. We don't we're not trained to ask questions. We're not trained to interrogate. We're not trained. We go in there, we F stuff up, right? We clear the hole, and then somebody else can come in and finish up whatever needs to be done. But we go in, we're the Bulldogs. We go in, and so they did that with that invasion in 03. We get all the way up in there, and we clear, we've got Baghdad secured. And then they're like, all right, well, now we're going to flip operations. We're not going to be combat. We're going to go to the common phrase, right? We're going to win the hearts and minds.
Yeah, peacekeepers.
We're like, we don't win hearts and minds. We're Marines. We don't do that. We take hearts and minds with bullets. Like there's the hard truth right there. Like we don't win them. We just take them. We watch them bleed. And I know a lot of people might be offended by that statement, but that's the truth of it. That's what we're trained. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And when they came to us and we're like, what do you mean? We just, I mean, I'm talking from the highest of the command down that was there. I remember sitting in the briefs when they said that they were going to put us out and we were going to run humanitarian missions. And we're like, what does that mean? Like somebody give us some answers. We don't know how to do that. We don't fire warning shots. We don't it's not a thing. Like bring somebody else in. Fine. We'll provide security for them, but we don't do that. And they pulled us out. I don't know tactically what followed in on that afterwards because I was a peon in the whole game anyway. So it wasn't going to matter to me, but you just follow the truck in front of you and go. But I remember wrestling in my mind, how could I go from that mentality of shoot first, ask questions later to now I have to answer 17 questions before I can shoot back. That's not the trigger. And honestly, for most services, that's not just a Marine thing, right? That's what the military is trained to do. We're there to defend. We're not there to do all the social media and make everybody happy and that's other people's jobs. That's not the military's job. The military is to support and defend the Constitution and our republic, and that's what we're there to do. We're not there.
That's what I never understood. You only call the military in when diplomacy fails. Okay?
Yeah.
And then when they send you in because diplomacy failed, then they put an ROI on you and strap your hands or try to. Okay? And I just want to put out that what Denise just said right here. Situation report, PMCS means preventive maintenance checks and services that you have to do on your vehicle every single day or before movement, stuff like that. So just in case you guys didn't understand that. But yeah, I just, they strap your hands. Why did you send us in here in the first place?
Right.
The first reaction you have, and you're taught, when you're receiving fire, you return fire.
Right. There's not even a hesitation.
You don't dig a hole, stick your head in the sand, and hope you don't get your ass shot off.
Right.
Right? That's what they teach you. But then, and I'm going to tell you something, it's not always, it doesn't come from the military. It comes from the civilians running the show. Okay?
Yeah.
We learned that in Vietnam. We learned that in Korea. We learned that in World War I, World War II, that politicians should not even, if you call in the military should be calling all the shots and shoot, move, and communicate, destroy the enemy, and move out. That's it. That's why you have us.
Well, and it was, I had a reminder talking to a vet the other day, was, go back to boot camp, right? Every version of boot camp has hand-to-hand combat training of some version, whatever they want to call it nowadays. But you have hand-to-hand combat training.
Yeah.
At any point when you were in boot camp, like we're going to go back to the basics of boot camp. Was that hand-to-hand combat There was never a we're gonna subdue them to keep them. Like, the end result of that hand-to-hand combat was you killed the enemy. You killed that other person. It wasn't I'm gonna subdue them so I can handcuff them. It wasn't I'm gonna de-escalate the situation. It was like, there's him, here's you. One of you's coming out of here alive. That's it. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, so to come out and say, well, we're gonna
when you pull the trigger.
Yeah. Like, it's just, it blows my mind that people are so
dumb.
Well, yeah. And they're so shocked when you have this conversation with people that didn't serve.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? You're, and they look at us, so many people surprisingly still have that like Vietnam mentality of they're pro-military or they're anti. And they're like, well, you're just a bunch of baby killers and blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, you're welcome. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, I'm not grateful that you're killing. And I'm like, no, I'm not killing babies either. But I signed the paper. I did the deed. I'm willing to sacrifice my own life for you to have your ignorant opinion. So you're welcome. And they look at you and they're just, I can't believe you said that. And hopefully most of the time they walk away. At least when I've told them that, every one of them have kind of gawked and they walk away and, because they had no fight to give. And I'm like, I defended that right and freedom.
Yeah, like, I think they should have a mandatory service.
Yeah. I mean, I may not agree with everybody.
They could go reserve. They could go National Guard. But I think that every young person, if you're not, people are always going to get out of it because of college or whatever. But I think everybody should serve in the military at least 2 years. And whether it's in your National Guard, whether it's in your reserve, whether it's active duty, whatever branch you want to do, I think you should serve 2 years at a minimum.
Yeah. And there's a
job. Then you'll understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's jobs for everybody. Like, they have this thing now, and I think that's what they were talking about when recruiting was down so far, right? Was so many people are diagnosed with all these mental health issues, which you see it every day, right? Parents are doing it because they're system babies. The parents have been system babies, and they're raising their kids to be system babies. Yeah. So they all have mental health issues so that they can draw that Social Security check.
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't you just, the amount of effort that you put in of taking your kid to go to the doctor to get diagnosed with something so that you can get free money from the government, which is free to you, but not free to the rest of us, is crazy. If you could take half that energy and just go get a legit paying job, you'd be fine. But they ran into that issue where there were so many that they couldn't find anything, right? So then they diagnosed their child, which the child didn't have a choice in it, but they get diagnosed with something that disqualifies them from the military service. And it's like, okay, well, still, ADHD, right? And I'm not picking on anybody that has it. I squirrel moment all the damn time. Yeah. But it's such an easy diagnosis, but it can also be that's something that disqualifies you. That's a disqualifier. Could be, right? If you're diagnosed and you're taking medicine for it, that disqualifies you from military service.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'd rather take that dude and have him run to my admin section where I know when I need to go find a file, he's going to be able to find it.
Yeah.
Because along with ADHD is some OCD, and they're going to be organized and they're going to be there. And if they've got to do 2 years, then they do 2 years. I 100% agree with you. I think it should be a mandatory service for.
I want to not just that up there.
I think everybody.
I want to leave Denise's thing up there a little bit longer because I'm not used to having a woman tell me that I'm fucking right.
Well, you get the little in with Denise, right? You got the MP connection with the Army connection. So, I mean, what you say, Denise is with you. Like, you guys, you're locked solid. There's no arguments there.
Yeah. Denise.
No. But, yeah, absolutely. I think a mandatory service for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that would do amazing things.
Yeah.
You know, for society as a whole, to open them up a little bit. We've already seen, and I'll say it because I've seen it firsthand, and I have firsthand knowledge of it. Is college will ruin them. Colleges are ruining today's generation, and it's sickening. It really is.
It is.
I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. Was, you know, with the school systems and trying to look at how, you know, at the high school levels and stuff of how things are developed. I think it was actually my brother, because we were talking like none of his kids are high school yet, but the oldest daughter is getting closer. And it's like generate those high school classes to be what their career is going to be.
Yeah.
Not all the extra crap that, you know, you move from one school, because and actually, yeah, it was my brother, because he was talking about he moved from a school in Indiana and went to one in Michigan. And in Indiana, if he would have stayed there, he would have been a senior that year. But because the different states had different like graduation requirements, going to Michigan, they technically would have considered him a freshman. And he's like, I'm supposed to be a senior. What do you mean? Like, and he ended up dropping out because he's like, I'm not redoing all this stuff because these states did, like, that's, you know, that whole one standard. And it brought to my mind with Hegseth talking about that was going to, you know, we're not going to remove anybody from having the ability. Everybody has a choice, no matter what your gender is, to go to a certain MOS if you can meet this one standard. There's not going to be two standards. There's not going to be three standards. There's not going to, like, you can dream up all the, like, one standard. If you can make that standard, absolutely you can go to and perform that job. Like, that's the bottom line.
But here's what you hear. Here's what you hear in the argument, right, for the military. And I heard this in one of those Armed Services Committee. It was a Democratic senator who said, why are you making it one standard? You know there's a difference between males and females. Whoa, where was that? Where was that? And then he shut up because he realized what he said.
Yeah.
Where were you on that with boys in girls' locker rooms or in girls' sports?
Right.
They wanted to fight it because they said, hey, there's a difference. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, wait. You just over here said there's no difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but she doesn't feel like she's a man, or, you know, vice versa or whatever. You know, there was a time where men couldn't get into the nursing field in the military. You know?
Right.
It was all women. And then we broke that one. Well, they turned around, and of course, you can be a girl and be in Boy Scouting, but you can't be a boy and be in Girl Scouting. Why don't you just drop everything and just call it scouting and, you know, bury the dinosaur that was Boy Scouts and get rid of it like it never exists? And that's what they wanted to do anyway. Now it's just called, what is it, Scouting America or something? I don't know what it's called.
I don't even know.
I feel, you know, because I was a Boy Scout, you know, and it's just, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in a lot of the, I don't know, what are they called? Gen X, Gen Zs, or whatever the hell they are now. The ones that are in college, they're just, those are going to be politicians.
Oh, they've groomed every single one of them to be a great politician. They have. They'll bullshit a bullshitter. They can sell ice cream to an Eskimo, and that's great. But when the shit hits the fan, they'll be the first ones curled up in a ball in a hole somewhere, and they're way away from everything. Like, as long as they don't have to get their hands dirty, they're willing to do it. And I think that, you know, when you bring that up, you know, you talk about like the Boy Scouts and what brought Boy Scouts on. Well, you go back to when the Boy Scouts was started, and you look at society where it was a very male dominated, but right, you had the man went to work, the wife stayed at home, she took care of the kids, put them in school. Like there was two very delineating roles in a household.
Right.
And I'm not against the fact that those roles can cross. I think that's a great thing, you know, but the whole point of like doing the Boy Scouting and what was to teach a boy how to be a man, right? To give him them skills that he's going to be able to provide for his family.
Yeah.
And that's where my disconnect comes with, like, if you're going to cross roles, that's fine, but still be a provider, right? To me, I just want all of them to be providers. I don't know, boy, girl, man, woman, be able to provide, right? Don't try to live off the system. I think those are the ones that drive me the craziest is they don't want to do either. They want the benefit of both roles, but they don't want to perform the responsibilities that it takes to perform those roles.
Well, I had a conversation with Brittany when she was younger. And I told her, I said, hey, it's going to be scary out there, but what I will tell you is get your life in order, do your career path, be able to support yourself.
Yes.
And do not be dependent on a man to support you. Okay. And I think that's wise advice for everybody, not just a female, but it's also for male. Don't be dependent, because that's how I grew up. You can't be dependent on somebody else.
Right.
I watched my mother raise 7 children on welfare. She was so dependent, okay, on the welfare system, the churches, the state, all that stuff. I watched that. I know what government cheese tastes like. I know what powdered milk tastes like. You know, I know that I didn't know that you couldn't get ketchup in anything other than a 1-gallon can. And you had to save the bottles and you had to fill those up with the can with ketchup and shit like that. That's how I was raised. And I truly believe nobody should be dependent on anybody. Okay. You should work for it yourself, be self-sufficient. And then when you find somebody, you say, hey, that's the person for me. All right. Now you got 2 people that are going to work together and not one dependent on the other one. Now, if you decide you're okay, the wife says, I got the better paying job. We're going to have these children. You're going to be the stay-at-home dad, or whatever the case is. You make that decision for your family. Okay. But I will tell you this. Kids need parents. They don't need friends. Okay. Yeah. Kids need parents, so don't be your kid's friend. They don't need you. They've got enough of them. Because like I was told by my grandmother, a lifetime of work on your children can be ruined in one day by a new friend. Okay? That's how much power friends have over your grade school children. So just remember that. But guys, hey, we went a little bit over our hour, but who cares? I want to thank everybody that came in here. Guys, we'll be back on our regular format next week. Remember, Terry and I go live tomorrow. We're going to have some giveaways on our show tomorrow because it is our 5th anniversary on YouTube. All right.
Wow! Congratulations.
Monday was our 5th year on YouTube. So we're going to be giving something away every 15 minutes on our live. So please come in there and join us. We hope everybody can make it. And then on Thursday at 6 o'clock,
we're going to go on White Rock Homestead. We'll be back. We had a 2-week hiatus because, well, we wanted to go to the Caribbean and get suntans.
Yep.
But we'll be back doing our normal Thursday night homestead hangout right here at White Rock Homestead.
And then we want to thank you guys. Hey, remember Monday and Friday, Sir Paul Honeyman and myself. We have Morning Talk with Mike and Paul at 8:30 every Monday and Friday in the AM Central Standard Time. So please join us for that.
Merch, guys. If you see that amazingly awesome shirt that Brother Mike's wearing, that's our new logo that his beautiful Sergeant Major designed up for us.
Yep.
And got that going. So you can get that one. You can get the original Sergeants Talk TV stuff. All down in the link, but it's also at the MT Homestead merch page.
Yep.
So
go there and check that out. And also don't forget, May 15th through the 17th, 2026 is the Mid-America YouTube Meetup. That is at Lake Texoma State Park on Lake Texoma itself here in Oklahoma. So if you need any additional information about that, go to MT Homestead on Facebook. There's an event link. Look at that. It's got the link to make your reservations, everything. I know you guys already made your reservations. Yep. So please go over there. They're filling up. I think there's only like 15 spaces left in the Joe's Campground. The Joe's Campground. And all the information's on Facebook. So please go check that out. If you want to be a sponsor of the Mid-America YouTube Meetup, contact myself and Terry at mthomesteadok@gmail.com, and we will talk to you about sponsoring the meetup, which we have 3 right now: Jody Young, Debbie Drach, Deborah Spiker, and Sir Paul Honeyman. They all 3 can't make it, but they wanted to contribute to it, so everybody has a good time. So thank you guys so far for that and sponsoring the Mid-America YouTube Meetup. Guys, we're going to have a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Blast.
It's an amazing time every year. We won't miss it.
Yep. Hey, remember, be kind to one another. Help somebody in need. And always, always think of that. Guys, we love you. God bless you. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye now.
Get out of here.
Get off of my lawn. Wait, I wasn't Sergeant Major. I couldn't say that.